Super Smash Bros. Brawl, aka the bad one, I guess. It's a requirement to clarify that whenever you mention this game's name. Within the grand pantheon that is the Super Smash Bros. Series, Brawl is easily the most controversial. And if we're strictly talking about play control, then yeah, fair enough. But in terms of the amount of content to be found here, hot damn, Brawl is really impressive. Super Smash Bros. Is a multiplayer fighting / party game. Cool, but single player modes and multiplayer based titles is something that I was always a big fan of. Games like the earlier Mario Parties or Crash Team Racing. Yeah, they're very clearly based on multiplayer, but there's a huge single player component as well. That's awesome. And while Smash Bros. Melee did have that really cool adventure mode, Brawl did something a bit bigger, a bit grander, and to this day, it is still one of the most ambitious things Nintendo's ever done. It was your ordinary July 20th, 2007, over on the Smash Bros. Dojo, your source for all things Brawl updates, when suddenly this bombshell dropped on us, revealing something. It took a while to really click what they were going for here, but man, when they did finally show off what Subspace Emissary was gonna be, hype thrusters for this game were sent into overdrive. We have a brand new adventure mode now, and this was no mere side game that you complete in a few minutes and move on. Hey listen, as cool as Melee adventure mode is, this was practically an entire game within a game. A full-blown platformer beat-em-up hybrid. We have characters properly interacting with each other rather than simply fighting. Damn, we have an original story too? This is crazy! Over 10 plus years, Smash has continuously grown in scope and popularity, but I would argue that in terms of ambition in single player content, Subspace Emissary still remains the king. No, World of Light doesn't come close. We'll get to that. But like many others, I haven't played this mode in quite a while, and I'm feeling a bit nostalgic today, so how about we take our good old dusty classic controller, let's plug it on in to our Wii remote, and let's give Subspace Emissary a look at, shall we? You know, I remember the initial loading times for this game being a lot more annoying, but after the Wii menu sound inflicts you with temporary deafness, I can appreciate the extra time for my senses to return to normal. At the core of Subspace Emissary, what Nintendo gave us was a super fleshed out form of that initial idea of a kid playing with a bunch of Nintendo toys. Oh man, what if Mario and Kirby fought, right? Well, that's how this story starts. Clearly, that's not a coincidence. But you know what would also be a really cool fantasy that would be better than having your favorite characters fight each other? Having your favorite characters fighting together against a big mysterious evil, against a force that uses these special bombs to remove areas from the real world and throw them into the void of subspace, something these characters are not normally up against. Things are different in this world. The characters that you're used to are all essentially, dare I say, spirits of trophies that come to life for battle, and as such, they don't necessarily have to follow the canon of their respective series as you know them. All of these different Nintendo characters live in the same universe here. Sure, whatever. They simply want to make sure their world doesn't get screwed up. Not even 5 minutes into this thing, the sky goes dark and the arena gets invaded by shadowy creatures. A mysterious orb drops from above, only to be revealed as a ticking time bomb after being opened up by a couple of Robs. And after Mario gets blasted into the sky, Petey Piranha shows up, captures both Princess Peach and Zelda, and Kirby takes it upon himself to fight back. This is real. That series of sentences that sounds like pure fanfiction material is real, and it is how things kick off here. And it is awesome. Admittedly, after playing Ultimate for so long, going back to Brawl, with the classic controller no less, since I'm playing this on a Wii U with no GameCube support, is pretty jarring, but I am far too busy being in awe of what is happening on the screen here to care. As you progress through the story, it is a tidal wave of fan service in all shapes and sizes. Pit and Mario exploring the Skylands, watching an Arwing go after the Halberd, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong attacking Mario enemies trying to steal their bananas. Lucas, after seeing Ness get shot with a trophy gun by Wario, runs into the Pokemon trainer searching for his missing pocket monsters. And oh boy, that moment when the Ancient Minister is revealed to be a friendly Rob and you can immediately play as it, that is one of the coolest moments in any Nintendo game ever. Every time a new character shows up, we get one of those sweet intro banners. This stuff is so cool. Not just because these things are happening, but because we have these beautiful CG cutscenes to go along with them. There was clearly a lot of time and effort to make sure these cutscenes looked good, and some of the characteristics that we are familiar with shine through. Princess Peach offering Fox a little bit of tea, pretty adorable, not gonna lie. And don't get me wrong here, World of Light was kinda cool, but anything interesting that you did came off as like an animated GIF on top of a large map image. I know it's all subjective, but when you really start comparing the two, one of these things is a lot cooler than the other. Here, things actually happen, and even if the characters act slightly different than how they're presented in their origin games, it's just really cool, man. Now, I could be cynical and grade all of these interactions and talk about how these characters should be portrayed, but the Nintendo fanboy deep within me is just a big fan. That's it. I want to see more. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry, but Captain Falcon accidentally killing a bunch of Pikmin while Olimar watches on completely emotionless? Yeah, this is what I live for. When we do start looking at the actual content of what this mode offers outside of the fan service, well, that's where things get a bit muddy. Playing Smash Bros. As a platformer actually works out pretty well, but the level design isn't gonna win any awards. This was probably to accommodate how different everybody feels, but it gets the job done. Doesn't explain why there are so many auto-scroll segments though. Holy cow, the game will just decide to auto-scroll in the middle of a standard stage? Every time the camera started to pan super slowly, it sucked. And something else that is a bit disappointing, while the beginning of the adventure throws you into locations that feel like proper Nintendo worlds, that feeling is pretty short-lived. You got the sky from Kid Icarus, a forest from Donkey Kong, the insides of the Halberd, that's really cool. Generic ruins, generic plains, generic caves. What happened? And going up against a new evil that's exclusive to this mode is fine and dandy, but when some of the enemies consist of Mario characters like Bullet Bills and Hammer Bros, I can't say I'm not upset we didn't see more. Adventure in Melee had some Zelda enemies thrown in that led to a really cool level, and Smash Run on 3DS actually did exactly what I wanted by throwing in enemies from like every single Nintendo franchise. But here, the enemy variety just isn't there. And I get it, the level themes sorta match the darker and grittier aesthetic that the entirety of Brawl had going for it, but some extra iconography in the back of levels or something like that would have been appreciated. Link and Yoshi explore a forest. The music makes it seem like it's Kokiri Forest, but visually, nothing. A remix of the Ruin theme from Super Mario Land plays in the Ruin stage. Why not throw in some stationary enemies back there to just acknowledge, hey, we actually remember that game existed. And hey, we even got boss battles against Ridley in 2 incarnations, Rayquaza, and Porky of all characters. Why not throw in some more? It's not like this thing is gonna leave much of an impact. They didn't even bring that boss back in World of Light. At least the gorilla boss got that much. Listen here, this is the same team who made a post-apocalyptic version of Super Mario Bros. 1-1. My suggestions are really not that far-fetched. But even though it isn't perfect, I can't help but think that it is still a pretty engaging adventure from beginning to almost end. None of the stages outstay their welcome, and you're usually offered a different lineup of characters to choose from every time, so things are kept interesting, at least on a gameplay front. It ends up being even more compelling on a fresh save file too, since meeting the characters here was an alternative way to unlock them in the main game. That's really cool. There are also collectible trophies and stickers all over the place to add to your collection, and even a special item, the trophy stand, that you can throw at weak enemies to turn them into trophies, which is pretty clever and makes some of these collectibles feel a bit more important. But like I said, this is mostly engaging until the almost end. Oh god, it's Great Maze time, isn't it? Yeah, this part of Subspace I think people remember most. Near the end of the adventure, all of our heroes join together and get transformed into trophies once again, requiring you to free them. And once you save everybody, except for Ike, because I missed him somehow, he's just gonna stay there, that's fine. It's time to tackle the Great Maze, a massive structure at the core of Subspace where the true evil can be found. You see, throughout the story, we do see some notoriously evil characters be antagonists. Wario, Bowser, King Dedede, that makes sense. But it turns out they're all taking orders from Ganon, who's actually taking orders from Master Hand, who is actually taking orders from this mysterious figure, Taboo. Sure. Whatever, I'm fine with it. It just really sucks that after a lengthy series of linear levels, you now spend at least an hour and a half running across familiar themes and level layouts, opening doors, leaving no stone unturned just to tackle a creature you were just introduced to. Find a door, go through it, hope a character is there, beat them up, and rinse and repeat until you have them all done. They restrict your character choices to 4 too, which really doesn't make any sense. In the previous stages, they're treated like normal levels, so dying was, of course, a possibility if you weren't all that good. But here, it's guaranteed. There is no way you're not gonna die when you go through this maze. It's not as terrible as some people make it out to be, but it is undoubtedly a pretty boring climax. The final battle against Taboo is kinda neat, I guess, but once you beat him, the locations go back to normal and everybody gets to resume with their lives. Except Ike, he's still trapped in there. The credits then quickly show up, and that's it. You're thrown back into the main menu like nothing ever happened. Oh, and yeah, Sonic shows up literally right before the final battle. In a pretty odd move as well, there are 3 extra unlockable characters that you can only find after beating Taboo. Yeah, it's strange. After doing that, you have to go to 3 different levels, and suddenly there'll be a door where there wasn't one before, and then there's a really cool cutscene introducing one of the characters. You fight him like normal, and that's it. But why? You managed to throw every other character into the story, even though Sonic was there at the last minute. Was somehow Toon Link just, oh, we couldn't possibly do that. Link and Toon Link on the same screen, that's unheard of. But all in all, The ambition behind Subspace Emissary cannot be understated, and all these years later, it is still an enjoyable time. Yeah, the cutscenes are definitely a huge reason why this mode is as cool as it is, but it's pretty fun to play as well. As time went on, more Smash Bros. Games would release, and I don't know, man, nothing they've done comes close to what they did here. The fan service in regards to enemies was really strong in Smash Run, like I mentioned before, but that's about it. And while World of Light does have a lot of cool nods here or there spread throughout its 150 square mile map, it really just doesn't compare. But to be honest, I guess it was kind of foolish to expect that too. Subspace Emissary happened at the right place and the right time. Brawl really felt like they were going above and beyond, adding as much as they physically possibly could. So this massive adventure actually fit right in. With Ultimate, more emphasis went to showing support to as many franchises as possible, even if it's as small as a single spirit or an assist trophy, which is still fantastic, but I would argue that there is still a void left to be filled. Also, there's like 1 million characters now, so good luck making a plot that isn't a complete mess. Brawl has an entire 8-hour campaign within it, or 177 hours if you forgot to turn off your Wii, featuring a ton of Nintendo characters working together to defeat a greater evil, and it was really cool, but call me selfish, I want more. Super Smash Bros. Brawl, aka the bad one, is certainly a controversial title in the series, but damn it, I love this game, and Subspace Emissary is one of the reasons why. It's awesome. But, you remember when Sakurai said he didn't want to do a story mode in Smash 4 because the cutscenes would have been uploaded to the internet? Man, it's at the tip of my tongue. What is that feeling I'm feeling right now? Oh, that's right. Sadness.